today we are going to be talking about 6 more underrated horror movies that demand your attention. 6 movies that I believe do not get talked about enough, that are criminally underrated. Some you may have heard of, but in my opinion, just don't get talked about enough. This is part 2 of this video. You can click below and see the first episode of this series, the amazing titles that I do not want you guys to miss out on. So definitely watch this video when you get done with this one. Let's jump right into it. First up, a somewhat underground title that many have heard of, but I still do not see it brought up in the conversation enough, and that is Dr. Giggles, starring Larry Drake, of course, from Tales from the Crypt, Dark Man. The dude is just a phenomenal actor, and in this one he plays the maniacal Dr. Giggles. This is just classic 90s cheese. It's amazing. The performance, the gore, the kills, it's all just so much fun. If you have not seen Dr. Giggles, oh my god, do yourself a favor, go pick this up. This is an imported German Blu-ray. In the US, we still have not got a Blu-ray release. This movie was in my movies that need a Blu-ray video. It's a really fun video that I did that talks about a bunch of movies like this that need Blu-ray releases, but all around, just a fantastic, fun movie. Where are you at, Scream Factory? Come on. Even Vinegar Syndrome I could see putting this one out. Next up, a movie that I don't hear anybody talk about. Lou Taylor Pucci stars in this. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Spring. This movie is absolutely stunning. It's a gorgeous movie that takes place abroad, I think in like Italy and a couple places in Europe. This movie is just absolutely beautiful. This guy gets in a little bit of trouble in his hometown in the US, and he decides to escape. He goes to Europe and ends up meeting this absolutely beautiful girl that doesn't really want a whole lot to do with him, and he keeps on kind of begging her to, like, he's just so taken with her, and she has her reasons behind why she doesn't want to be with him. It's not that she doesn't like him, it's not that she has anything against him, but there's something in her own past within herself. Again, I'm being very vague in these reviews, that stops her from being able to be with anyone. This movie is just absolutely, it's genre bending, it's gorgeous. You never seen anything quite like it. It's got some body horror, monster, creature feature elements to it. Do yourself a favor and seek out Spring. You won't regret it. It's fantastic. Next up, Lords of Chaos. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have heard this movie kind of making the round. This movie really took me by surprise. It's not a perfect movie by any means. I'm aware of its flaws, its inaccuracies in storytelling, the fact that it's supposed to take place in Norway and everybody speaks in American accents. That's just because this movie was made for an American audience. This movie tells the story of a band called Mayhem, the supposed originators of true Norwegian black metal, and the exploits that happened. There was a murder. The guy who supposedly committed the murders in this movie had a YouTube channel and talked a lot about this case and what happened in this movie, and disputed a lot about what actually happened. But there's some truly like fucked up scenes in this movie. The violence portrayed in the film is really like in your face and realistically shot. I would highly recommend this movie. Rory Culkin is actually really fantastic in this role. Definitely check out Lords of Chaos. It's a fun time. Next up is an Australian horror film. I think it's Australian. It's a revenge flick. This movie is absolutely awesome. A girl goes to a business meeting with her like super gnarly drug dealer gangster boyfriend. While he is gone for a second, some of his associates take advantage of her, and she is left to her own devices to have revenge after she's left for dead. This movie, in my opinion, absolutely blows other rape revenge stories of that ilk out of the water. I prefer it a lot more. It does, for some reason, it just doesn't seem as exploitative as I Spit on Your Grave or those other type of rape revenge movies, which I just am not a fan of. This movie had so much more style and was handled in just so much more of a interesting way, and I think it's because it had a female director, a female voice directing the film, and I think that's why this movie worked. I can't recommend Revenge enough. It's fantastic, it's stylish, it's colorful, it's extremely violent, and it's just amazing. Definitely check out Revenge. Second to the last on the list, this is an old 1991 Hong Kong martial arts film called Ricky The Story of Ricky. This movie is unlike anything you've ever seen. Our hero here, Ricky, avenges his girlfriend's death and ends up going to this insane military-like just insane prison that's run by these like cartoonish guards and warden, and basically he's just trying to escape because he's going to end up dying in this prison. But the movie is so ridiculous, so over the top with the gore, the extreme characters. It's unlike anything you've ever seen. This movie is insane. Okay, like some of the gore scenes are just they're amazing. Seek out Ricky-O, The Story of Ricky. It's going to be one of the goriest, most absurd, ridiculous martial arts film you've ever laid your eyes on. I promise you won't regret it. It's fantastic. Watch Ricky-O. Finally, last but definitely not least, the amazing genius film directed by the one and only Gaspar Noé, Climax, the guy responsible for I Stand Alone, Irreversible. He again found a way to reinvent his style. This movie is filmed to seem as though it was shot in one single take. It follows a dance troupe who go to celebrate a performance, or just after a really hard practice, they all get together and they're gonna party a little bit in this like dance rehearsal like warehouse, and somebody spikes the punch with acid, and what proceeds is just a mindfuck acid trip that, I keep on saying this, but it's unlike anything you've ever seen. If you've seen Gaspar Noé's other films, you know he's not a traditional director with his like dizzying, kind of claustrophobic, super artsy form of storytelling. This movie is just a marvel in direction. It's absolutely I think it's his masterpiece. It's just a descent into madness that you will not believe, that starts off one way and ends in a completely different fucking world from where you started. This movie isn't going to be for everyone. The way it's shot, the way the camera twists and turns throughout the movie, I've heard makes some people nauseous, and it's just not for them. But I, on the other hand, would 100% absolutely recommend Gaspar Noé's Climax. He's just a true, original auteur. He's an amazing director. I'm so glad we have filmmakers that take chances like Gaspar Noé. Guys, that is it for episode 2 of Unseen Horror, Underrated Horror. I haven't even figured out what I'm going to title these videos yet, but I highly recommend all the movies in this and episode 1 of the most underrated unseen horror movies. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen any of them, or any movies that you think are criminally underseen, and maybe they'll be included in a future episode. Guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Stay weird, and until next time, bye.
I love movies. Gosh, I love movies. I love watching them, and I love making them.